if I understand correctly, you had an idea that staying in academia is the proper way. This is the right thing to do. This is what everybody's doing. This is what I see around me. How did you break out from that way of thinking?
Maybe I got a bit afraid how secure is that track. How good are the chances to get a permanent position from Finnish university, preferably from the southern Finland. There are not too many options, and I knew that there are lots of very good people applying for those positions, competing for the same position.
Hi, and welcome to Manifold Solutions podcast. My name is Vadim Weinstein, and on this podcast, I talk to people about post-PhD mathematics careers and how to infuse your career with more purpose and how to make mathematics the queen of science again. Whether you are a mathematician who is interested in transitioning to an industrial position or another academic field, maintaining your identity as a mathematician, or otherwise you want to participate in conversations related to mathematics career topics, please check out our website, manifoldsolutions.io, and our Facebook page, Manifold Solutions, where there's a community of mathematicians who have either found their dream job already or are looking for one, and people are having a free-form discussion. You can also join our mailing list, and you can just contact me on LinkedIn as well in a private message. All the links are below. Without further ado, let's jump into the interview. Oh yeah, and of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel right here.
Welcome to Manifold Solutions podcast.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
And so again, we studied at the same time in the same place at the University of Helsinki. Mathematics, the Department of Mathematics and Statistics.
Yes.
Never forget the statistics, otherwise statisticians get angry.
Yeah, it's an important part of that department.
Yeah. And you did your PhD in analysis?
Yes, geometric analysis or differential geometry.
Geometric analysis and differential geometry. So actually manifolds?
Yes. Yeah, Riemann manifolds.
Awesome. We love manifolds at Manifold Solutions. So then, did you do a postdoc? You did actually, yes. You did postdoc in Granada.
Yes. Yeah, so after the PhD, I spent some time still in Helsinki, so about a year, and then 1 year in Spain, and then moved to Jyväskylä.
And Jyväskylä.
Almost like Spain.
So, almost like Spain, just the opposite climate.
Yeah.
I was in Granada. I was in Granada 2 months ago. So,
okay.
It was amazing. It was a conference, and I liked it.
Yeah, it was a very nice city. The views are superb to have the Sierra Nevada there, and then also all the history, all old buildings, and lots of students in the city. So it's kind of like young atmosphere. You noticed it on the streets that the university plays a big role in that city.
Yeah. Is there a good mathematics department?
Especially in differential geometry.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I visited Alhambra while I was there, and I thought that one day I want to organize a mathematician trip to Granada, and it's like a bingo where everyone should go around Alhambra and find all the different tessellation patterns. Because you can prove that there are exactly 17 different symmetries of the plane, and I think there's a conjecture or hypothesis or maybe even a fact that all of these 17 different symmetry patterns are found in Alhambra Palace in these pictures. And so I'd like have mathematicians competing who finds all of them first.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful place. I visited it a few times during the year I spent there. And well, coming back to the department in Granada, it's actually, well, in Spain, in many places, the departments are maybe a bit smaller than here in Finland, for example. And there were several math departments, and the one that I was involved with was the Department of Geometry and Topology. So they had their own department of maybe 20 people in geometry and topology. Yeah.
Oh, cool. I never heard of such a thing.
Yeah.
I've heard of departments of logic, because logic is kind of an outlier, and sometimes it's in the philosophy department. But I never heard the special department for geometry and topology. That's really cool. Yeah. Okay, and then you went to Jyväskylä. Jyväskylä is a very common place for postdocs in Finland to go.
Yeah, it's, well, I think they have at least have had pretty good funding, like lots of academic projects, and then also have had some ERC projects, and then also the department has had some money for postdocs, so then there have been lots of positions open at least. Haven't checked this past couple of years.
Yeah, you haven't been checking.
This used to be the case.
Okay, and you were there for 1 year.
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, and what happened then? How did things unfold, and in your own words?
Well, it was of course a bit strange period in the sense that the COVID came.
That was the COVID time.
So it's pretty soon after the beginning. So I started there in the fall 2019, and then the COVID came the next spring. So then it was quite long period, like very different environment than what we were used to.
You actually lived in Jyväskylä?
Not fully. I had a small apartment there, but then I commuted there for, basically went there on Monday mornings and then came back on Thursday evenings and
in Helsinki. So you had your base.
Yeah, I had here. Yeah. So it was quite a bit of commuting. Of course, then when the COVID came, now I don't remember, but at least for a couple of months or 3 months, I did not go there.
That was convenient.
Yeah. And then the next fall, the restrictions were not so strict, so then there was some teaching at the department also, so I did go there at least a bit. Actually did teach on the department. And then the next spring I had some teaching, which was basically fully remote. Actually gave a course in differential geometry of curves and surfaces. So that was.
How did you find remote teaching? Because I have also had an online course.
It was different, let's say. And well, for that course, it was very small course. I had less than 5 students there. I think 3 or 4 completed.
Very specialized.
Well, it was still like a bachelor level course, so not super advanced, but then of course it required some basic knowledge about vector analysis and stuff like this. So then there are not as much students in Jyväskylä as there are in Helsinki, so then not so much students took that course, but yeah, I actually did not have live lectures, so I recorded the lectures. Okay. I don't know how much the students actually watched the recordings, but then I also prepared some lecture notes, which I think came out pretty good. And then I had live. Then the students did the homework and they returned that, and then I had a live session with them where we went through the solutions and they could ask if they
live
had some
online.
yeah, live online. Yeah.
I haven't figured out the right word for that. Live. I told someone live, then they thought it's live.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
online
yeah,
live.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Why can you do you have this is just a tangent, but I'm just curious. Why did you decide to record them as opposed to giving them and record them? You can still record them, even if you give them live.
I don't remember why maybe I thought that it's somehow easier to prepare because
Yeah, then you have
you're
more
giving
freedom.
remote lectures, and then there might be some technical hassle as well. And I took the approach that I have this iPad and then the pen for that, and then I used that like
As a
kind of blackboard and wrote stuff to that, and that was like recorded the screen. So then
right. And then you were able to kind of edit it, the whole lecture. Did you do that, or did you just record it and?
well, I didn't edit too much. I basically just recorded and pushed it
Right
on the go. And
I'm using this. This is not perfect for that purpose, but it's possible. Yeah, I'm going to lecture again in this fall, and it is going to be mostly remote. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. The second time already. So
yeah, but I think with that group of students that worked pretty well because the students were very good, like very good.
Yeah,
and then
that helps.
Yeah, I've also given classes to some like basic courses where you have all the students basically, and then to this kind of setting, I don't think this kind of offline teaching works very well. But at least in this case, when the students were very good, they gave excellent solutions every week to the problems, and then there was an exam in the end, and it was
then the role of the teacher with good students is very different than the role of the teacher with less motivated students, put it this way, because with the good students or those who are already motivated, you don't have to do the job of motivating them. You just teach the material, or you even just guide them to the right place, and then they just study it themselves.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. And then after so somehow you transitioned to industry, and now you're working in Elisa, which is a Finnish cell phone company.
Yeah, telecom operator. Yeah.
Company. So what was going on in your mind? What was happening? Why did this transition originate, and how did it proceed?
Well, while I was in Jyväskylä, of course, there's always this. Well, you know the thing that you get a postdoc position, and then immediately you need to start to think, where should I apply next, and start to look the open positions for the next year. And and I got a bit tired of this, and then also this commuting, like 1 year in Spain, and then Jyväskylä and going back and forth. This
was tiring.
It was a bit tiring, and then also when I was in Jyväskylä, we got our first kid, so then I started to think that okay, maybe would be nice to live in the same place with my wife. So things got
big deal.
And then actually Rami Luisto was in Jyväskylä at the same time as I was, and we were taking the same trains, and then we both discussed a bit about the possibility of career switch. So I don't know, there was maybe some kind of some support from that.
You had what I call it. I actually came up with this term this morning. It's called Academics Anonymous.
Yeah. So actually, Rami did the transition earlier than me, but then at the same time we were discussing about this and about the options and possibilities outside the academia. And
so to the viewers, Rami Luisto was my first guest on this podcast. So just scroll whichever direction you need to get the number one. And that's Rami.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Rami was very excited about the AI ML stuff, and then maybe got me a bit excited as well. And then
I was also communicating with Rami at the time about these things. Like I remember texting with him about machine learning.
yeah,
Okay.
so then I had this small change of mindset and started to study a bit. I took some programming course during my math studies in the very beginning, during the first years, but did not study more than that at that time. So then I decided that, okay, maybe
Did you take it online? Did you take it at the university? Where did you take it?
Now, while in Jyväskylä, I took some online courses. There are actually University of Helsinki has this massive open online courses. I took a couple of those.
Do you need to be a University of Helsinki staff or student?
No.
Anybody can take them?
Yes.
So it cost money?
No,
for free.
Yeah.
Anyone from the world, from India?
I think so. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
good to know.
So I took a couple of basic programming courses, and then also there's this FITech or FITech, how do you pronounce that? But this
fintech, like financial.
FITech, it's
no, I don't know. Like it's like Finnish.
It's Finnish technical universities are involved in this, and then they have some open courses online, and there was some, I think it was government funding, which they still have, so they can offer for free some courses from basically from the technical university, some from non-technical as well. But I took a couple of machine learning related courses from there, and so studied a bit and tried to gain some knowledge on the other side of the fence. And then when I was kind of convinced that, okay, I could try to see if there are some options outside the academia. And
can I pause this? Because you said mindset shift, and now you said when you were convinced. So I'm very curious about that. So what was happening in you? Like, what is the mindset shift, and why did you need to be convinced, or what did it take? Can you expand?
Okay, maybe. I think I've never had a clear picture what I'm gonna do when I'm grown up. But at the university also, I more went with the flow, and after the masters, I got the opportunity for a PhD, so I took that, and then got the opportunity for postdoc, so I took that. But still, you kind of, when you're in the academia, you think the next steps in the academia, and
right.
And then I somehow started to think that, okay, maybe if there are some other options. But frankly, I was also applying for some university lecturer positions, and for the Academy of Finland postdoc funding, I applied a couple of times, and
postdoc Pauli or something.
Yeah, actually, the Granada was from this postdoc pool, that funding. But then,
so how did you break out of this thinking? Okay, so you were talking with Rami. How did you break out from this idea that, if I understand correctly, you had an idea that staying in academia is the proper way. This is the right thing to do. This is what everybody's doing. This is what I see around me. How did you break out from that way of thinking?
Maybe I got a bit afraid how secure is that track. How good are the chances to get a permanent position from Finnish university, preferably from the southern Finland. There are not too many options, and I knew that there are lots of very good people applying for those positions, competing for the same positions.
Highly competitive.
And as I started to have already family, so then it was not at least the first option to look positions abroad.
Yeah.
Maybe there would have been better chances. Well, of course, the chances improve if you look the whole world, but then maybe I got a bit afraid of this, and then also a bit tired of continuous applying, writing the applications. And
okay, yeah. Did you know someone who already was working in industry, or?
Well, I knew some people that went to the industry already after the master, so did not do PhD. And then, well, some people I knew that did this transition earlier than me. Yeah. Okay. I think you maybe know some people from the Helsinki department at least.
Yeah. So I've tried to also get all of them here on this podcast, because these stories are very interesting to those who want to do the same, let's say. Okay, so what do you think now? Now that you have experience in industry, do you think about it in a different way than back then, or are some of your stereotypes confirmed? Do you miss academia? I mean, probably you miss some part of academia.
Well, before making the transition, I didn't know too much about the industry.
Right.
So actually, during the master's studies, I had some summer jobs, but they were not too related to the math side. And then that were outside the university. And then I had some teaching stuff during the last summers before going to the PhD. And so I didn't have a clear picture about the industry world. So then I think I didn't have that good expectations or clear expectations. So, but it turned out to be pretty good for me, at least so far. I haven't had too big regrets. Of course, I miss some stuff from the academia, maybe. At least in the beginning, the community was one that I missed a bit, like the academic community.
Yeah.
Of course, you spent years with the same people at the same department, and then you go to conferences and you meet the same people every now and then. And it's very international environment.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's maybe hard to get that kind of thing in the industry, at least in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then again, when I made this change, it was still COVID time, so it was not so many people at the office in the beginning. But
so if anybody is watching this who's not a mathematician or not academic, I mean, the circles of mathematicians are amazing, and they're very unique, because let's say 25 people or I don't know 50 people around the world who have all spent years studying the same theory. Like they've been going deep into some very specific mathematical niche, which is why if mathematicians go to their neighbor's seminar, they don't understand anything. Like it's very common that people who amazing researchers, let's say in logic, and they go to a functional analysis seminar, you're lost.
Yeah.
Like you can't really even I remember in a logic group going to another type of logician seminar. Let's say somebody who's working on large cardinals goes to a seminar on finite model theory or computability theory, and it's like you don't like it's a way far away. So because people get really immersed very deeply into those areas, and now you have this community, worldwide community of people who have been studying the exact same things. You can meet them and you can start talking to them about, you know, the Dirichlet problems or the, you know, the exact types of functions that you've been studying, and they all understand you, and it's really something special. So you lose that.
Yeah.
You lose that, and in industry, you are saying that it's very different, right? So you don't have this kind of communities, but maybe you have different types of communities.
Yeah. Of course, for example, in Elisa, there is some kind of AI ML community, and there are data scientists working around, and then you can speak with them, and then they are some of them are working on similar stuff, and then maybe some on different stuff, but it's different than
very different. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and maybe in academia somehow the work life and free time are more combined,
right?
In some sense,
which can be a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah, definitely, but yeah, it's different. You somehow grow to the community, and then although you change the university, you are still part of the
you're still
the same.
You're a solo, you're a virtuoso, like somebody compared it to a virtuoso violinist, you know. Who cares who paid him this time?
Yeah,
he plays his stuff, or like or else a rock band, you know. Okay, today they're sponsored by this, tomorrow they're sponsored by that, but yeah, it's the same thing.
In the industry, if you change a company, then maybe you don't hang out that much with the old colleagues.
Right. It's very different.
At least not discuss about work-related stuff. So
right, interesting. Okay, and so what kind of job are you doing? Like if you were like if you explained to another mathematician, just, you know, what is the picture of your work today?
It's quite manifold, actually.
All right.
It's sometimes if someone asks what I do, I joke that it's kind of in Finnish this sekatyömies.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So maybe I can light a bit the background. So when I came to Elisa.
That was, by the way, your first company out of university?
Yes.
Okay.
So I came there via this Postdocs in Company project, actually.
Oh,
so,
that's very interesting.
I got a grant from a Finnish foundation for a project with Elisa.
Oh wow!
And then that
I want to hear more about that after.
Yeah, okay, we can go back to that, but it was basically a new project at Elisa related to energy sector, and I was the third person to come to this project. So it was in the very beginning, and there was not much done. So in the beginning, it was a lot of investigation and studying for all of us. And then it has expanded so that we are now about 30 people, so 10 times that. And with this kind of background, of course, in the beginning, I was involved in pretty much everything that happened in the project, and
okay.
I'm still involved with quite a lot of stuff there. But about the stuff that I typically do, there is this more data science related side is related to kind of market optimization. So we are offering power and energy to energy markets, so mostly to the balancing markets for the electric grid balancing. So then optimization related to that. So that is one thing. Then I'm also quite much involved in the business development side. So market analysis for sales from different countries, mostly from European countries, and then also trying to follow up what is happening in different countries on the regulation side, and then all kinds of small data related things. And
you code? Do you have to code in your work?
yeah, I code a bit. Yeah, if I have more time on this optimization forecasting side, then coding more, and then maybe on the business development side it's a bit less coding, but I still use Python every day.
Okay.
That's
how do your mathematical skills, the skills that you learn as a PhD student and as a postdoc, how do they manifest and how do they help you in your job today?
I think maybe, well, at least the Riemannian manifolds are not directly helping me in the daily job, but I think one of the biggest benefits comes from the fact that you have learned to deal with difficult stuff, and you're not too afraid to take up something. And then also I've been reading quite a bit of research papers from different areas. So, for example, if I take some research paper related to electrical engineering or something, there might be derivatives and integrals and probabilities and stuff like that. So then you can read it and you can actually understand it, even though you have not studied that particular field.
And you don't have to like scream and run away from the paper.
Yeah. So I think that's a big benefit. And then also, I think the teaching experience has been good. So you need to be able to explain complicated or technical stuff to non-technical people sometimes, and then if you have built some expertise in that, it helps. And
so you have to explain complicated technical stuff. What does it take for you to understand the complex technical stuff? Is that okay? You have to read sometimes papers. What else comes? Or how is this technical stuff kind of manifest? Is it like you work with other people who you create algorithms, or?
Well, yeah, I've been creating at least some algorithms, yes, and then of course sometimes you get involved in some discussions with non-technical, for example, on this business development side. Right. I have been in customer meetings, and then if you try to
have to pitch your algorithm or explain.
Well, maybe not in detail. Something is secret as well. So, but well, for example, we are selling this solution to other teleoperators as well, and then quite often there is not so deep understanding of the possibilities in the energy sector and the balancing markets and electricity markets. So then you might need to explain those, and then try to explain how we would operate there and all this kind of stuff. So
so you have to take into account legal parameters, actual economy situation, and the technical facts of the system, basically.
Yeah,
because it sounds like a complex problem with many dimensions, and you have the courage and the skills to kind of attack it. That sounds fair description.
Yeah, and also when you are, for example, implementing some algorithms, you need to understand the system where you will work with those algorithms. So if you try to optimize something, it has to match the reality. And
and how does that work? Like, how much do you know, and how do you learn? Okay, it's part of being in that company that you learn about these things.
Yeah. Well, it has been a lot of learning. during the
Have you
past
do
3
some of
years.
it on your own, or is it like some people who teach you about these things, or do you go to some events where they book?
A lot of it is on your own.
Wow.
At least for me, it has been. We have one guy actually who came bit more than half a year after me, who has his background in energy sector and has done all his career in that, so he knows a lot, and of course I've learned a lot from him. But then now there's a big change in the energy system with the renewable stuff and regulations changing, so you need to put some time on that.
Very interesting.
So,
and when you learn it on your own, is there like some special inside information available to you because you work in this company?
from the market side, maybe no, not really. In the energy markets, a good thing is that, well, it's very regulated, like from European Union level, all the electricity markets, and it's very regulated, and then also quite well documented. And then so there is material that you can find. And then of course you can find research on topics, and of course you need to be a bit selective. You can find lots of information, but then try to extract the key information might be a challenging thing to do.
How do you feel about the fact that your job today is much more relevant for everyday society, and you have like clear goals and accomplishments as opposed to pure mathematics, which doesn't have those things?
Maybe that hasn't affected too much. I think somehow the approach is still similar in a sense that, well, sometimes it's easier that you have clear goal and you know the steps, but then sometimes there are still things that are not so clear, and you need to study to be able to tackle them, and so on. So also in mathematics you have some things that are easier. For example, if you're giving a course in some basic topic, you know the thing, and you know that, okay, I have this book, I just read and this is what I will teach. But then you have the research, and then that's more open-ended. Of course, maybe in the business world things are not that open-ended usually. So there has to be some kind of goal, and maybe. But also, as this project that I'm involved with started from very beginning, this kind of like
you feel like
not so much like math research, not that precise, but still we had a kind of goal, but we need to study how to go there, and not so many things were fixed in the beginning, and there's some mystery in it. Of course, now it starts to be more clear. But yeah.
And are you ever blamed for being too perfectionist? I hear a lot of mathematicians get that.
Maybe no. At least I don't remember.
Because like I have the problem that for me it has to be perfect before I publish it. Like, in industry it doesn't necessarily work, but
no,
in some areas actually maybe it's the opposite, because I don't know about energy sector, but if it's something very high risk, like military application or something where it really has to be polished well, because otherwise people may die or something.
Of course it depends also on the topic. Like some stuff it's okay not to be so polished. It's enough that you get like in the same ballpark kind of thing, and then sometimes it has to be more precise, and so of course it's always balancing. Sometimes you need to be quick, and sometimes there's more time to polish stuff. But I would say that it depends quite a bit on the thing in hand. But of course, in the university, you might have more time to polish things, but in the industry there are open deadlines, and many people depends on some stuff. So then you need to get it into good enough shape and then be able to deliver that.
I have faced deadlines in academia, and it was horrible.
Yeah,
like if you have to get the paper done by a certain time, it's just like the worst.
Yeah, there quite often it doesn't help to spend nights try to prove something, and then you're just too tired to do anything else.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. So okay, so what about this postdoc in companies? That sounds really interesting. So you found, did you apply to other companies? I'm curious, did you have other interviews, or did you go directly into this program?
I did apply for a few positions. Of course, then I was not in a hurry to change, so I still had some funding left at the university, so I was not in a rush. So then I only applied positions that I found somewhat interesting. And of course, then the results were maybe not so good because I didn't apply for all the possible positions, but I picked quite carefully what I applied. And I got some interviews to another company. I was interviewed for that. And then I applied to Elisa. Actually, it was something different that I applied to back then. But then the hiring manager contacted me that, okay, maybe not this position, but there is this Postdocs in companies option. So the funding application period is open. Would you be interested to try that? And we have this new opening that is in the very beginning, so it would fit very well to this. So then I decided that why not, and wrote one more application.
So it does still exist, Postdocs in companies? It's a Finnish academy thing?
It's Finnish foundations. There are several Finnish foundations that's a bit similar to this postdoc pool thing, but
I'll have to find out about this.
I think they have the poll open twice per year, and it has been there for some years now. And well, they also make some matching between the applicants and the company, so one can like put name there and inform that I'm interested, and then companies will inform that we are interested to getting one here, and then this Podoco thing might do some matching. But then it's also possible that if you find the company, then you write the application with the company.
Right, I see. And that's probably better.
Well, that's better because then you already have the
backup.
So that was my approach, and then it was successful. And
okay, so how would you find a company to do such an application with? I mean, you found it because you went to an interview.
Yeah,
that's how it came out.
It somehow came from the company side, so I applied for some position, and then this came out. Of course, that's a good question, how to find the right company.
Yeah. How, if I now I know you're my friend. Can I now like get into the inner circles? And
well, of course, one one thing that helps is network.
Network.
Yeah. And now I don't remember how actually this Podogo thing, maybe they published the interested companies, like companies that have mentioned that they are interested to hire or take someone from this Podogo. I think they put these companies, so maybe
I see.
maybe it's possible to then try to reach out.
Yeah.
But of course, at least for me, it was not very clear how to approach any company, because in Finland there are not many companies doing differential geometry related stuff. So
yeah, but this
so
is why we have this company. What I'm doing is because we are not educated in this.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips now that you have been in a company for a while? Are there events or?
Well, it depends. Or you mean like finding the company or building the skill set, or?
Yeah, I mean everything, like networking, finding the company, and also, yeah. So you said you did some programming courses, etc. How valuable was that in that interview process, or?
Well, it was valuable, yeah, because it was clear from the beginning that I will do some coding in the work. So then it was good that I had already studied a bit, and then maybe this Podogo period was also considered kind of a transition period, in a sense that there is more time to learn new stuff. And but yeah, of course it depends on the roles that people are looking, but I would say that typically, at least what I've seen, for example, the data science roles, people need to code at least a bit.
Yeah,
because quite often there are not so much resources that you could just think something with pen and paper and then
somebody else
give it to someone that, okay, do this.
Right.
So you have to.
Do you think it's easier for a mathematician to learn coding than for someone else to learn coding?
Maybe yes. You are used to.
I mean, programming languages have been developed mostly by mathematicians in the original
Yeah.
whole thing. Nowadays, of course, they're developed by computer scientists.
And as a mathematician, it's maybe not so hard to understand like how the code works.
Yeah. Right.
It's somewhat logical stuff. So
exactly. Somewhat logical stuff, kind of familiar. Seen this, done that.
Yeah, of course, you need to learn the syntax, and then there are different programming languages. But once you learn with one language, maybe it's easier to pick another. And
okay, very cool. So yeah, I mean, I find that we have covered the main things. Is there anything else you'd like to say for the next generation postdocs who are
yeah, maybe just keep the mind open and don't restrict too much the easy choices, but like, yeah.
So keep your mind open and like, don't be afraid to jump into something unknown.
Yeah. And also in the industry side, it's like if you get into one job, of course you can change that, you can apply to another position, and I think it should be easier after the first one. So the first one is maybe the hardest one, but even if you get some, it's not like working in a factory on some lane that you just do this and that, but typically it involves studying new things, and there are lots of interesting things also outside the academia. So
here's a question. Now that you know, what is it like? Would you be more afraid or less afraid of going? Like,
good question. Maybe a bit less afraid, I think.
Okay, so overall positive.
Yeah, sure.
Experience.
Yeah, I have no regrets, at least.
Are you thinking at some point you would like to get back to do something academic, maybe collaborate on a paper or even apply for a professorship, or you're done with that?
Well, maybe could be nice to collaborate in a paper. Also, maybe outside math, I could.
Yeah, now you've
now could done something else as well. About applying to academic position. Well, of course, now I've been away for some years, so I don't know how easy it would be to get back to the research mode. That's of course the question. But
it's very rare, but there are some examples of that.
There are some, yeah. But at least so far, I think that I will continue the industry side for.
And in Elisa is not publishing scientific papers, because nowadays a kind of growing trend that companies publish.
Well, that is an option. So I know there have been some, at least conference papers. But of course, then it's also a question like how much you want to tell the competitors what you are doing. And so one thing that Elisa is doing is the patent applications. And I have also been involved in some patent applications. So that's like another option.
Right.
Maybe not as scientific as papers, but there's still the possibility to try to come up with something new and something that no one has thought before.
And yeah, patents sounds good. Sounds like you actually invented something new.
Yeah. So maybe the marching order in corporates would be the first IPRs and then going for the papers. But then also there might be some like white papers or maybe even somewhat technical blog posts, or at least some companies have these, and Elisa has also something. And
right. So a white paper is like a mathematical description of the algorithm or something without the actual technical stuff, right? That's the white paper meaning?
Well, kind of.
Without the actual programming, I mean, like.
Well, yeah, maybe it depends a bit where you are aiming with that, but it can be somewhat technical as well in some parts at least. But of course, maybe the idea is typically business driven there. So
right.
So you want to.
The first time I ever heard this term was in a company. I never heard that term in university.
Yeah.
I mean, all our papers are white papers, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, Esko, thank you so much for coming. It was really a pleasure to talk.
Thanks.
And have a flourishing future career, and maybe hopefully we can talk again at some point. Or
thank you for tuning in for this episode of Manifold Solutions podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are interested in these topics, I recommend you check out our Facebook page, where there's a community of mathematicians discussing career-related topics, as well as our mailing list and website. All of the links are down below. And of course, please subscribe to this YouTube channel for further notifications. And have a good rest of the day.